Welcome to Nurse Talk with Martha and Tessie.
We are making history and we are reforming nursing and we are elevating our profession to the next level.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the state of nursing as we see it. We both are very optimistic about nursing. We see nursing as a way for a lot of people to grow and to thrive and obtain some of their goals and dreams. But we see a lot of good things that are actually working in nursing. But we do see some things that we'd like to see just become just a little bit better. We want to really focus on those things because we believe that if you focus on those things that we can do to make things better, then we can see change happen.
Yes. We come together as a team as well.
Right,
As a true team.
right,
And
exactly.
work as a team and work as a team.
Right. And that's a good place to start, Tessie. We're talking about teamwork. We know that if we don't work together as a team, things are not going to flow like they should. I've seen so many times where one person is like going, and then the other person may not, your other teammate may be sitting there or doing something else. But I think the thing is for us to make sure that we focus on just kind of like be aware
Aware of the
of our
entire surrounding.
surroundings and what's going on. And then once we are aware of what's going on, then we know who may need some help because there will come a time where everybody's going to need
Need some help.
some help because we
Yep.
know how the daily grind goes. You may start off with a nice assignment in the morning, but in
Yes.
the evening it just goes to wherever.
And it's just to me, I don't know. I know each person is different and I know personalities are different. But to me, when you talk about teamwork, you automatically, I just believe you should ask or offer
Right.
genuinely. I just think you should ask or offer genuinely. Even if you are busy, just that knowing, I think that's a place to develop trust.
Right.
That knowing that when you hear that person say, "Hey, you're okay? Do you need anything?" Um, that lets you know right off the bat that okay, that person has my back. I know that I can depend on them or I can trust them
Right.
when I get into a bind. I think that
Right.
helps to me,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
it takes you out of your bubble
Right. Uh-huh.
to
And
recognize that you're not just in this space by yourself. Like
abs-
you're not alone. You need to be aware, like you said, surroundings
right.
of your
Absolutely.
entire surroundings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not always easy for people to trust.
True,
And trust is really big,
it is big.
because and even if you think about, okay, how do we establish
Exactly.
trust as nurses? I being that I know as we talk about NICU a lot, but even in the NICU, you're in a what we call a
Pod.
pod, and you may have four people working in that pod, and then you all have your assignments and everything, but you have your pod mates,
Yes.
and you have to be able to trust your pod mate.
Yes.
And sometimes it can take as little as having a conversation,
Yes.
or even when we get report,
Mm-hmm.
just knowing, okay, you have this patient and you have these three babies. That person has those three babies. What's going on? That's the importance of getting a report and
Yes.
everybody hearing what's going
What's going
on.
on? Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And even when you're going in and out of the rooms,
Mm-hmm.
just communicating with your pod mate. Hey, I've got to step out to the room. Can you look out
Mm-hmm.
for my babies? This
Mm-hmm.
is this is going on with them. So would you,
Mm-hmm.
just communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's something that's built with time.
It
What do you
is.
think? You think?
It is built with time, but we are also, from my experience starting in the NICU, that was something that we were taught
Okay.
in the
Okay.
beginning.
Okay.
When you got report, either that nurse was going to give you a little bit of heads up about, hey, this baby is doing XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Can you always have your ears open? Or if I leave out, this is what I'm letting you know. This baby
Right.
dips, this baby does this baby does that. So that
Mm-hmm.
we have an idea of how to respond
Right.
and to be alert at
Right.
all times.
Mm-hmm.
Because when
Mm-hmm.
you have families there, you have grandparents, you have
Right.
aunties, uncles, sisters, brothers, whoever, and these people learn when they learn what's going on with the patient
Mm-hmm.
and they understand it
Mm-hmm.
to such a degree. And sometimes, even if they don't understand it, they still need to know that you are paying attention and
Right.
that you're responding in such a manner to their family member or patient or whatever. So
Right.
it's
Right.
it's very important to me, and I think it should still just be a standard so that you can grow
Mm-hmm.
into developing that trust. It
Right.
should start from day one
Exactly.
when you step foot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes it doesn't just come automatic.
Mm-mm.
And like Tessie said, sometimes it's something that has to be
It
taught.
has to be. And
And
then we have to lead by example.
right. Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think lead by example is kind of gone by the wayside
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But that needs to be brought back into orientation, focus, teaching, just some of these basic things. I think it's necessary because it'll make it flows a lot smoother between the nurses, the unit, the
Mm-hmm.
doctors. The doctors then, the neonatologists, the nurse practitioners then
Mm-hmm.
develop a trust
Right. Uh-huh.
for
Mm-hmm.
each individual because they know, well, I know so and so was in this pod, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that the day before when we talked about this, everybody understood, everybody was on board on what needs to take place or who needs to be notified for whatever. And I
Right.
think that's communication.
Right.
That develops a good communication
Mm-hmm.
amongst everybody involved. You
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. Exactly. Now, another area I think that I've seen that has worked well in
Mm-hmm.
some cases and
Mm-hmm.
not so well in other cases is technology.
Yes.
And when I say technology, we'll see where some hospitals are using like the mobile phones for the nurses to receive their communication. And I think it works so well. Where
Mm-hmm.
you sign in on a mobile phone
Mm-hmm.
that's unit specific. It stays there
Mm-hmm.
on the unit,
Mm-hmm.
and so you carry it around with you all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You can receive direct messages
Mm-hmm.
from, you know, it'll come to your phone. Any messages concerning your
Your
patients, you
patience.
go in and you sign in. You choose
Assign your
your patients,
patience.
assign your patients to
Mm-hmm.
your phone,
Mm-hmm.
so you can speak with the doctors if you need to. If you receive communications from the families, when they
Mm-hmm.
call, it'll come directly to your phone. So no matter where you are,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to get your messages and
Mm-hmm.
communication.
Mm-hmm.
There's some places that use that and some places don't,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that is such a good thing.
I agree. I
Mhm.
think it's really good because I think even some of the processes that we've had set up where I used to work were really beneficial. And I think we need to add more processes into the utilization of technology. First and foremost, like we had the sepsis when there's a patient that was needing that looked like they were going into sepsis. Excuse me. There's a process where that nurse sends out a I forgot what it used to be called not a notification. We'll say
Mhm.
notification
Mhm.
out to the unit,
Mhm.
which we don't think everybody needs to know in the unit, but I think it still was necessary because we're talking about babies. So
Right.
it's kind of
Mhm.
like alarming to such a degree, but it was to alert everybody who needed to be on board to come to that bedside to assist with whatever needed to be taken care of, as far as starting IVs, as far as the charge nurse, as far as somebody needing to write, as far as somebody needing to give meds, whatever the case it was, or go
Mhm.
get meds, or
Right.
talk to the doctor. That's a good process, I believe, to have in place, and I think we should have that for other disease processes as well, or
Right.
diagnoses or whatever.
Right. Right.
I think that's good.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And there's a flip side to technology as
Right.
well.
Can be a
And
distraction.
but yes, it can be it can be a distraction with
Yeah.
our own personal cell phones
Yes.
and things of that nature. But we all know what we're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do with that
Yeah.
to eliminate those distractions because we got alarms going,
Yes.
we've got people calling, babies
Coding, all
coding and
different
all
things.
different kind of stuff. So we know that that a cell phone, your personal cell phone, can be a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
But if one thing I did like when I was in the NICU is that you could have your cell phone on your
On you.
purse and for your own personal, like,
Mm-hmm.
emergencies or things like that. But you could not talk on your cell phone and be on
Mm-hmm.
your cell phone and all that because things can happen so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
changes can happen so quickly, so you don't want to get caught on your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as organization wise,
Mm-hmm.
having the cell phones for communicating
Mm-hmm.
with your teams and everything, I think has
Mm-hmm.
been,
That's
a
good.
great.
Okay. Now the only other thing is that a distractor is those earpods
Right.
and earbuds that I think should not be allowed. That's my personal opinion. In NICUs, honestly, or ICUs, or place units where you're actually having to monitor patients and
Right.
listen to monitors going off to
Hmm.
alert you for different things that's going on, even if you have one in one ear. To
Right.
me, I just really think that that's something that we could do better with.
Right.
Um, when you go on your break, great, wonderful, enjoy it, turn them up as loud as you want, as
Right.
we would say, just like you're on your phone.
Hmm.
You do that when you're on your break, but I think you should have um, complete, and I believe 100% eyes, ears on the patients.
Right.
That's just my
Right.
personal
Right.
opinion because I always put myself in that parent's shoes or that family member's shoes
Right.
because you're on stage. As we discussed before, you are on stage the minute you hit that door.
Hmm. Hmm.
No matter who it is, everybody is looking. RT, neonatologists, practitioners,
Hmm.
nurses, charge nurses, managers, everybody is looking. So it's just always, to me, it's more of an awareness to show others
Hmm.
around you, all the eyes,
Hmm.
that you're paying attention.
Right.
And
Right.
that your patient, to me, that also says that, yes, I have a personal life.
Hmm.
Yes, I have something I want to listen to, or whatever the case is, or something that's important coming through from the world or whatever and what's going on. But when I'm here in this space,
Hmm.
in this pod, or whatever,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
patient is my number one goal.
Exactly.
Number one goal.
Exactly. Exactly. Now don't get us
Don't,
wrong.
no, we don't. It's
Don't send
just,
us a whole lot of hate email about having
no,
cell phones. We
no.
have to follow our policies for
Yes,
your hospital and your
yes.
unit. We're just talking about some things that we think will help us to
Mm-hmm.
stay on our game and
Mm-hmm.
do the best job
The
that
best
we're
job that we can.
okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing is that I've seen work well is having childcare
Oh yeah.
provided for our for the mothers or
Employees.
for
Mm-hmm.
the employees. I even worked at a hospital in I think it was in Fort Worth, Texas,
Hmm.
where they had an on-site daycare,
Mm.
and I can't remember. I think it was day and night. I
Mm.
can't remember, and I don't remember all the specifics, but they did have on-site daycare,
Mm.
so you could drop your babies off or your children off before you went to work, sign them
Mm-hmm.
in, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you get off,
Mm-hmm.
you know that your babies are right there. You can
Mm-hmm.
go and sign them
Sign
out
them out. Yeah.
at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was so terribly convenient
Mm-hmm.
because if something happened, the child got sick,
Mm-hmm.
you could
It's
actually
awesome.
leave if you had to leave,
Mm-hmm.
or
You can just go and
right.
check on them,
Mm-hmm.
make sure they're okay,
Right.
give instructions on what to do, what not to do, or
Mm-hmm.
even be able to reach out to a grandparent or whoever it is, an aunt or whoever it is, to come and take care of them while you can still
Right.
finish your shift.
Right.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's benefit. I'm not beneficial. That should be. I think that's something that should be offered for sure, instead of like, not instead of. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it could be in addition to
Mm-hmm.
the. There was something at the place I used to work at, that had to do with childcare
Right.
incentive,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that would have been beneficial, especially to have it on site, because I
Right.
know there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of companies that do have childcare on site.
Right.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. I think healthcare should invest in that.
Right.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
think about investing in it. I think that would be a good solution.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Right. And with there, since we spend so much time at work,
Hmm.
it's real good for, and maybe a lot of people do know this, but your employee assistance program,
Yes.
really going through there and knowing what's offered to
Offer to
you,
you. Yes.
the different things, even mental health, childcare, all the gym benefits, all those
Yes.
type of things. Those are
Yes.
good things to know,
Yes.
concerning
Yes.
that, as far as
Hmm.
what's available in your
Hmm.
hospital and being more familiar
More
with that.
familiar with it, and seeking out that information, because it may not always come to you,
Right.
based on your schedules. You may work night shifts, so you may not get that information
Mm-hmm.
as day shift does. But
Mm-hmm.
seeking out that information to find out what is out there for you, I think is completely necessary, especially when we talk about also um, employee assistance when it comes to education.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
I have an employee, well, a coworker I used to work with. We used to talk all the time, and she wanted to go to school and she wanted to do better. She wanted to get something better for her and her daughter, and it was just always some kind of conflict. It was her work schedule wouldn't fall in well with the school schedule of
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that she wanted to do, or her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
it just was always a conflict where, well, who would be there to pick up my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
or just to even be there with her when
Right.
she gets out of school, to have support for
Mm-hmm.
her. It was just a lot of conflict. So she was having to decide whether or not, okay, am I, should I, but also am I able to take a personal leave?
Right. Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm able to do that, then who's going to take my place?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that was a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother ordeal. She didn't want to really leave the position open
Right.
like that, because she'd be off for so long, and then they couldn't work with her hours.
Right. Right.
So it was just a lot of conflict. But I think we should be able to, at some point, invest in our employees more,
Right.
especially our PCA secretaries and techs, and people who are wanting to, or LPNs who are wanting to go further in their education.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
finding ways to help them maneuver through that,
Right. And
not
ways that
just
I don't have to
financial.
pay back.
Right. And I
Uh-huh.
was just going to say, not
Mm-hmm.
just financially, but based on schedules, hours,
Mm-hmm.
being able to make adjustments for them, and also being able to um, increase their pay
Right. Increase their pay.
so that they
Mm-hmm.
can
Right.
make these decisions a little bit easier.
Right. Uh-huh.
Because it was
Mm-hmm.
either when it was either I buy groceries,
Mm-hmm.
make
Mm-hmm.
sure I have groceries, or do I try to go to school?
Right.
And she
Mm-hmm.
was like, I can't do both.
Do both.
So it
Right.
was one or the other. So I have to keep working to bring groceries in the meantime, because I can't go to school right now,
Right.
to
Right.
bring in more revenue for herself
Right.
and her
Right.
family.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is so, oh my goodness. That's crazy, because I think about when I was going to school, if I hadn't have had that assistance
Mm-hmm.
from the military,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would have been able to move into nursing
Mm-hmm.
as
As
quickly
quickly. Mm-hmm.
as I did.
Yeah,
So,
everybody doesn't have that option. So I think we should also be more available,
right. Mm-hmm.
make it more. available and have more flexibility
Mm-hmm.
for, because
Mm-hmm.
we want them to take our positions.
Right.
We want them to fill those
Right.
positions, you
Uh-huh.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And therein lies another thing
yes.
is the preparation, like the whole preparation to actually go into nursing school
Yes.
or go to become, all the different levels
Levels.
from a certified nursing assistant to a licensed practical nurse or like licensed vocational
Hmm.
nursing or RN. There's steps to
And
everything.
also on the job certification.
Right.
You can
Uh-huh.
do some on the job levels of certification. So
Right.
that can increase their pay, increase their motivation and desire to want to go
Mm-hmm.
further, you know,
Right. Uh-huh.
making all that available for
It
them.
exactly. Exactly. Now, another topic we don't have the magic answer for
We don't
this
have the
either.
answers for these. We just
But
bringing it up and we want y'all to come and tell us too.
yes,
We want
yes,
to hear from everyone.
yes. Staffing.
Yes,
We
Lord.
know staffing is
Woo,
a huge issue. Huge,
huge.
huge
There
issue.
has to be a way that we can
There,
fix that.
there
It has
has
to
to
be.
be a way. And,
It's not just nursing shortage.
right. Uh
I
huh.
think it's more than that.
Yeah, because people tend to get burned out
Yeah.
quicker, which
Hmm.
that's a part that causes the shortage because people are
True.
jumped out of
True.
nursing because
True.
it's a great demand
Hmm.
every day on
Hmm.
you as a person.
Yes.
So it's the staffing, like the staffing, we hear about the staffing grids and all
Hmm.
of that.
Hmm.
It tends to be overwhelming to us
Hmm.
nurses
Hmm.
at times. So it would be nice to see some type of um, some type of law or some type of something
Right.
to that would help the nurses to have like better staffing grids.
Hmm.
We know, like I've said before, like in California and New York,
Mm.
some of the unionized states,
Hmm.
you have your staffing ratios. You can only get, like if you're working on a med surge, there's only one nurse to five patients
Hmm.
instead of one nurse to 20
Right.
patients.
Right.
It'd be nice to see more states
Adopt.
adopt
That's true.
that, you know,
That would be good.
type of staffing
That would be good.
because you have less burnout.
Yes.
And I think people are more satisfied
Right.
with their jobs because they know that they're just not going to get run into the ground
Yes.
every
Yes.
time they come
Yes.
to work. But
Yes.
there are, there are set boundaries
Hmm.
in place that
Hmm.
would help us
Hmm. Hmm.
to not be so burned out or
Hmm.
not get burned out and not just exhaust
Every.
everything
Hmm. Hmm.
in a few years time because
Yes.
this is a career, so you
Hmm.
shouldn't be so worn out after a few
After a few
years.
years, that
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
and it will
So
create opportunity for more loyalty as well
right,
too. You know,
exactly.
yeah, and that's another form of
Trust,
trust
yes.
that I can
Oh yes.
trust when I go to work that
Right,
this is what I'm going to have. Now, granted, we know it's not cookie cutter and perfect and it's, made in stone because anything can happen. But
right,
at least to come in to start out at a place
right.
and then know that you could possibly go up to a next level of staffing
Right,
is to me a good foundation
right,
to
right,
start at,
right.
and cause more nursing satisfaction too. Because I think nursing satisfaction is a big topic too.
Yes, absolutely,
It's a
absolutely.
big topic too that we need to talk about some solutions and discussions for that as
Right,
well. Have some of those
right.
um, because satisfaction is a big deal.
It is.
It really
It is. And I
is.
think about on days where you are
Yes.
short, then
Yes.
your managers are having to come and be
Yes.
pulled into
Staffing.
staffing.
Ooh, I
And
remember
then
those days. Just a little bit.
so not only is that
Yes.
manager having to manage and go to meetings and do
Yes.
all these different
Yes.
things, she's now having to take care of the patients
Patience.
too.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that can cause burnout.
right, yes, that definitely.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm,
Definitely.
mm-hmm.
Because you're being pulled in so many different. ways.
Right, right. And
And then you don't feel like you're really getting things
right,
accomplished.
uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And
Because
then the staff, and it's just a trickling down effect. And
mm-hmm.
then the staff are looking at you for answers and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to ask questions and concerns about different things. And you want to be able to do that, but when it comes down to it, patient care comes first,
Right.
and everything else
Absolutely.
goes
Mm-hmm.
on the back burner for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Now, one good thing that
mhm.
I've seen hospitals do is offer bonuses,
Yes,
for you to come in and work extra shifts
right,
and things like
right.
that. That does
That
kind of
does
is soothe things
it does smooth
over.
things over.
Uh-huh.
Money is great.
Uh-huh.
Money is a great key to use.
Yes, yes. Money is great.
Money talks.
Right. It does. It does. But
But
I think it
mhm,
it's still that
it
it's
really,
a passion in you
yes,
that drives you, even if
yes,
money is
it's
good and
good.
it's an incentive for you to come in and to work extra and things like
Right,
that. But I think it's the passion that
right.
what
Sustain.
sustains.
Yep,
Yes, yes. So that's
exactly.
another thing,
Yes.
making that work environment be an environment that you want to
Want to
come,
come to. Not.
making it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just making it to where you're like, okay, I know we may be in the trenches,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
our work environment
Yes.
is
It's
good.
good.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something that doesn't cost anything.
Right. And
Be-
then, like they say also, you have home as your family, but you have work as your
right.
family too, because you
Mm-hmm.
spend so much time at work.
Right.
But we want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure, like you said, like it's an environment that you want to come to, that you love coming to.
Right.
And
Uh-huh.
I think we've kind of drifted away from that in
Right.
healthcare and in
Uh-huh.
nursing. Yeah.
That recognize,
Recognition.
recognition,
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
if it's just the person that you're working with,
Yes.
even you guys just treating each other
Each other,
well,
exactly.
uh-huh,
Mm-hmm. Makes a
or
difference.
or just having those little
Mm-hmm.
celebrations,
Mm-hmm.
just a kind word,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, even the manager coming around, even in
Yes.
days. I know we see this a lot in nursing, which I seem to like it. I tend
What's
to
that?
like it. Is when they may bring food
Food, ice
in, and a
cream,
day that you're
cookies, candy.
just
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
you're just running your butts off.
Yes.
Just even little things like that
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel
It does. It
appreciated.
does.
It really does.
It
Even
really
just having
does.
something extra to eat or
Yes.
whatever,
Yes, it
it makes you
does.
feel appreciated, and that the management knows that
And they see.
you yes see that
Mm-hmm.
you're going hard,
Yep.
but at least they're acknowledged.
Acknowledging. That's the
Mm-hmm.
word. Yep. That's it for
Yes.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, we can go down that road a whole lot.
Yes, indeed.
Ooh, we've
Yes.
been nitpicking all different kinds of topics,
Yes.
bouncing off each other.
Uh-huh.
That's been good.
Well, you guys, we have more topics that we want to talk about on
Mm-hmm.
this subject, because
Mm-hmm.
that's why we exist.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because we want to hear your voices. We
Voices.
want to hear what you think of, different ways that you think that we can make nursing better.
Mm-hmm.
Because even those the small things mean so
So
much.
much.
Yes, and they make
Yes.
such a great impact as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just want to thank you all so
Thank
much for
you.
joining us again. Please don't forget to hit like and share, hit the notification bell so every time we're on,
Mm-hmm.
you will catch our latest episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we just hope you all have a great day. Continue doing what you're doing,
Yes.
because what you do matters.
Yes.
And we will see you on the next episode.